Howdy guys, we're back. Got the Ranger running. Had to tear apart the whole wire and harness, and there's so many chewed wires. We had to splice them all back together. Whole big mess. The junkyard one didn't work, so we had to go back to the original. But anyways, it's working pretty awesome. It's pretty handy. We're out here on a dam bank, a little reservoir, and we're gonna set some traps. We brought all the dogs with us today, and they're pissing everywhere. We got 3 male dogs, and they're just out here marking everything. So we're gonna use that to our advantage and put some coyote sets out. We're gonna probably set one right in the middle of that dam. There, probably one right here where they just pissed. Over there pissing, and then over there. So we can probably kind of set this up anywhere. Yeah, kind of over there kind of looks a little catty too, so we might check that out. But yeah, I think we're probably gonna put 3 or 4 sets right here and then go check the rest of them. We just went on the backside there where I caught that big tom a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago probably. Nothing over there. Had a jackrabbit caught in a trap, but that's it. So we're gonna set some out. Well, it's nice out. It's 50 degrees out today, and yeah, we're gonna take advantage of it. So that's what we got. Okay, we just put in 2 more bobcat sets. I got one right here, just walkthrough sets. That one's pretty funneled in like I usually do, but this one's pretty subtle, just kind of a almost blind. But I put some flagging up there, so if they're coming along that ridge, it'll catch their eye. The sun hits it just right, and the moon will, with this full moon, will probably catch them too. But yeah, we got bait and lure on them. And then up there where we just moved the picket from where we first got out, we got 2 T-bones and then 1 piss post where the dogs were pissing at. But yeah, so we got 5 traps out total right in this little reservoir, this dried up pond or whatever. But yeah, I set them up. I buried my traps just so if a coyote comes by, I'll catch him too. That flagging will probably deter him, but right here, before it goes on the corner, I bet I'll catch him. Or a cat. That's what we're hoping for. But yeah, now we're gonna move on, check our other sets up the ridges. So stay tuned. Okay, we got another cat set put in right here. When we put these sets out, like on the New Year's Eve, we found this spot right here, and it had 2 snares. It had a snare right here and then one up there. So we called the Game and Fish, tried to get a number on the trap tag, and the Game and Fish left a message, told them that we were in here, and I gave them my number and see if we could just visit with them, see who it was, so I didn't trap on top of anybody. And we never heard anything back. And so I kind of let this sit, and it's been a month now, exactly a month. And we just came back up here and the snares are gone. So we didn't want anybody to move their sets if they were trapping here. We just didn't want to trap on top of them. So that's why we moved our stuff clear down there to that big rock pile, far enough away if they were still trapping here. But obviously maybe they just forgot about it and then came back and got their stuff, but who knows. But either way, they did a lot of work and made a really nice spot. So if they're not going to use it, we are. So we'll put a set here, and maybe if a cat comes through here, we'll get them caught. But yeah, that's what we got put out. We're gonna move down here, just work our way down the ridge and check our other sets.
Now watch the night turn into day, grab my keys and make my way. I'm headed east.
Okay, we got another cat set in here. Traps right there, just a walk through. I got a beaver head and some rub lure on a stop there, using that branch as a drag. I think these cats are just rolling right through here. There's kind of a trail, darts down right through there, so I chopped a branch out where I used for my blocking out there, so if they come around here, they can come through. But yeah, we're just at the top of this ridge, straight across from my other cat sets are, where I've missed that cat and then caught that other female. But yeah, this ought to work if they're coming through here. Like I said before, I bet that big tom that I missed won't come back through my set over there, so if he's coming around this ridge, I ought to get him caught right here. So lots of smell, got some good bait there. So nothing else caught. We're just gonna move on down river and check out my sets down there.
When you get to where you're going, grab your shovel and start making your way down. Hell, I've been digging holes like this for 20 years and will be till I'm in the ground. When the day is finally over, it's a couple hours back to my old place. Single bedroom.
Alrighty guys, headed out down the road to that new location at that ranch. We're gonna set some more coyote sets out. I'm just gonna kind of drive around. There's a couple places out on the edges of some fields, some pivot fields, so probably be some good spots. Might check my traps down there too. It's kind of on the way, but I had a couple buddies ask if I can give some tutorials on what kind of sets I use, kind of the 3 or 4 basic sets I put out. So probably gonna do some tutorial videos today, and yeah, that's kind of what I got going. Just kind of a slow day. Super nice out, kind of getting windy, but other than that, it's super nice. Yeah, we're gonna take advantage of it and put some sets in the ground. Okay, we're out here. I just got down to this ranch down the road. I was driving at the bottom of this field where my pickup's at, right up there, and I saw a bunch of birds fly out, and sure enough, we got a dead cow. Looks like it's been here a while. I don't know how active it is. Obviously, birds are still eating on it, but I'm sure with this warm weather, it's probably bringing back some smell into it. I've been seeing a bunch of coyotes on this place before I could get a shot at them on the road. They're already running off into the trees. So they're obviously drawn to this location. I don't know how hot of a location it is, but I'm going to set up some traps around here. I don't know how many yet, but up on these trails, up on this bank, maybe up on this road here on this canal bank, right back in their ways. But I got both of my male dogs with me, so I'm gonna hopefully have them start marking places out here and use that to my advantage. I was always told if you have a male dog, wherever they piss, set a trap right there or close to it. I mean, it's just a territorial thing. But like I said before, I'm gonna try to do some tutorials, so this would be a good spot. Throw a T-bone out, maybe a couple, and then maybe a few dirt holes too. I got a pile of coyote traps to put out. I'm kind of saving my bigger traps for my cat sets, but with these down trees too, this kind of, it's open and then goes into a thick brush here, so it'd probably be a good spot for a cat set too. But I wish we had some snow right now to see if there's any sign. But yeah, I'm just gonna get this whole thing set up. Hopefully I have better luck this time. I've been trying to trap around a bunch of cows this fall, a bunch of dead cows, and I haven't had any luck. I caught some birds and a coon and my other cow. So nothing's right in these pastures, so I should have some good luck. But yeah, I'll show you guys what I get set up. I guess if I'm gonna do a tutorial, for the guys who don't know, always try to set on sign. I mean, there's either set on sign or on location. So like this dead cow is obviously a great location to set on. There's probably always going to be something coming through here if you're in an area where there's tons of activity. But if you don't have snow and you're kind of new to it, to kind of struggle finding sign, this is what you look for. There's scat everywhere. There's all these turds laying around here, and that's always a telltale sign that you got something in the area. Even if it's old or older, there's something probably going to move back through here. So the dead cow is probably drawing them back in through here. So you don't necessarily have to set right next to the turd. Like, you can. It's obviously a no-brainer. That's probably going to be your best bet. But if you already have a trap set over there and then you find the sign over here, you can grab these turds and move it over there, or you can put them in your pickup and use them on a different set. And then you kind of want to look for a pinch point. That's what I look for, I guess. So you can see this ditch rolls down here, and then you have a fence line, and it pinches right through here where this trail's going down. They're probably, it looks like they're darting under the fence here, and they're working right on the other side of the fence here. So it'd probably be smart to set a trap right in here or right there where it gets a little narrower. But I'm probably going to set a couple sets. I'm probably going to set a trap kind of right in the middle of that bald spot, put a T-bone there, probably set something there kind of where my dog's popping up, and probably right here too. And then I'm going to go down the bottom, set some stuff up there. But for you guys starting out looking, that's always your telltale sign that you're in a good location. But I guess I'll get some sets put out and show you how to make some sets. Okay, obviously you start by digging your trap bed. Right in here, I chose this spot. I'm in kind of right in the middle of this bald spot like I showed you. But there's kickback marks right over this anthill. So obviously I like this spot. So I'm gonna put my trap right here and then put my T-bone right here. Just kind of make almost a walkthrough. On my T-bones, I don't use any bait, just lure. But yeah, you start by making your trap bed. This dirt is perfect, so just make your trap bed. You kind of get an eye for it the more you make it, but you just want to be able to have your trap sitting there. And then you take the trap. This is a brand new trap I just pulled out of the box. Of course, I just tied it in a knot. And give it a tug, set your anchor. This is a Bridger number 3 dogless. This is what I like to run. Brand new, haven't waxed it, nothing. You always want to make sure your trap is bedded solid, no rock into it. So if they step on any corner of it, it don't move and they don't dig up your set. I like to use coffee filters for pan covers. You don't have to use pan covers, I just like to. With this weird weather, you never know what's going to happen, so I use calcium chloride for antifreeze, trap antifreeze. I just sprinkle just a little bit down along the springs of my trap. I put my pan cover. And if you're struggling, if you're on a windy day, you can flop this exposed jaw up there and tuck your pan cover in there to hold it. But I just sprinkle it down, put a little bit more trap antifreeze around it. Doesn't take much. When you get moisture, it activates the antifreeze since it's a chemical, but it has no smell. Then you just take your sifter, so if you're kind of spooked at your traps, some of them are super touchy, you could take a paintbrush and use to kind of level out your dirt, but I've kind of trained myself just to sprinkle around the edges and they don't get a big hump of dirt over your pan, so you don't even have to spread it out. Or you can take your glove, spread it out, but I kind of like to set my pan a little lower, kind of almost a divot, but to a coyote side, they won't really notice that. They might, I don't know, they're pretty wicked smart, but take your T-bone and you use these holes here. You put your lure in there, but I like it on the upwind side. Yeah, and you can take your driver and punch a pilot hole, so if you got some old bones that are pretty fragile, you don't break them, especially when frozen ground. But yeah, that's basically your set. Then you take whatever lure you want, rub it on here. You can squirt some urine around. A lot of times, most of the time, you want all your smell right here. You don't want to sprinkle around, but if you're struggling and you notice a bunch of coyotes walking by your sets, I like to take my urine and sprinkle it right down the trail. Just a few drops, it don't take very much, but with the wind it's traveling right down there, so if they're coming through the brush down there, they're gonna come right up to your set. And with this rock and ant hill being here, it's gonna make a funnel and they're gonna walk right through it. But that's how I make a T-bone, and then I'll show you guys how to make a dirt hole. Okay, so I already dug my trap bed. It don't necessarily really matter how deep you make your trap bed, just enough so when you set your trap in the ground, it's damn near level. You don't want your trap to sit up here with a big old mound of dirt on it, because they're just not going to set in it. So for me, there's two different types of ground anchors I use. I use these wolf fang ones, or those bullet ones that I just pounded over there. I'm starting to kind of like the bullet ones. They're a little bit easier to get out of the ground. These wolf fang ones, you drive those in there, you're going to donate a lot of traps in the ground, because usually for here in Wyoming, the ground's usually hard or it's frozen. So if you forget about them and don't pull them in the summer, you're probably not going to get them. So if it's a good spot and you're catching on it, set one of these. And then when you pull them, just put a piece of ribbon on it or a flag in the ground so you can come find them later the next fall. But the only thing that's a pain in the butt around them, they're two different drivers. So you got to have a slotted driver to set these in here. And you don't have to use ground anchors at all. You can run a piece of cable or a piece of wire to that tree or anything, anchor off to that, or have a metal drag that just drags around. It gets caught in a piece of brush or a fence post, wire, whatever. It don't matter, whatever you want to use. Usually frozen ground, I like to use drags, because you're not going to drive these in the ground and you're probably not going to get them back. But other than that, I use these wolf fang ones so much, I kind of have an eye for how far I drive them. That's about 8 to 10 inches. That's kind of what I like to drive them in. It makes them super solid. They're not going to pull them out of the ground. Kind of hence why you're not going to pull them out of the ground either. But these ground anchors, once they're drove in there, you got the kind of standard 1.5 foot chain or whatever, and that's kind of what they're just going to pivot on. They're not going to get out there and wrap around that tree. Or I kind of like my coyotes to stay stationary once I trap them, but unless it's frozen ground, like I said. But you can either drive them straight in the ground or at an angle. It don't really matter. Once you set that, a lot of guys don't preset them. I mean, I've done it. I let the coyote or whatever I catch set them. They're not going to pull that 10 inches of ground unless it's like soft muddy dirt or clay or whatever. But here in Wyoming, it don't really matter. Once the animal sets it, they're not coming out. But same deal, you just drive them in. This ground is solid. And I ain't driving it farther than that. That's the only thing bad about these wolf anchors. If it's hard, sometimes you'll bend them, but they are solid. But I like to drive them straight below my trap. That way it's a perfect pivot and you're not tearing up your set too much. You can drive them over here, dig a trench, spare your chain, I got probably 3 inches of cable because I just can't drive it anymore. But you just kind of coil it up, set your trap, and set it right on top. I might have to dig my bed a little bigger just so I get more clearance with my chain or my trap. So a lot of traps you can get night latched, and it's kind of just a setting on there where it's just any kind of pressure they're going off. But this one's an older trap that I bought off a guy, so it don't have that night latch on there, but I just kind of set it halfway on the dog. So that's kind of what I do. But same deal. I mean, I guess I should have drove my dirt hole first, but it don't matter. So I'm going to use this kind of hump of dirt and just drive a hole with my driver. Kind of waller it out. You don't want to go straight up down. I mean, you can. That's just kind of a different type of set. I go at a slight angle. And it just depends on the ground. Like this hard ground, I'm not going to get a big open hole, but just enough. You got a dirt hole right there. And I like to kind of take it. Yeah, I should have, usually I set my dirt hole first, but it don't necessarily matter. But a dirt hole, you kind of making the appearance that something's coming up here and digging it out. And so that's why I like to do it first. I mean, I can move this, but I've gotten the hang of it. Yeah, and then make sure no clumps of dirt underneath your pan. Same deal. Take your antifreeze. You never know what's going to happen. The weather might change tonight. Never know. Keep your pan covered. Scoop of dirt. Obviously I can set these faster when I'm not videoing, but I'm just kind of trying to slow it down and walk it through it so I'm not missing any steps for you guys. A lot of my traps I have kind of light pans on them, so that's why I don't like to flip that jaw up and tuck it in there, because they're probably going to go off. But how I sift my dirt, I go in a circle. Throw those clumps of dirt out there because you don't want something coming by kicking them up in there. So with mine, you don't have to make it perfect. You don't have to make it 100% level. Like I said, you kind of want the appearance of something coming up in here and digging out. That's just how I like it. That's how I was taught by my grandpa, so that's how I set my dirt holes. But yeah, you just take that dirt hole and you want it deep enough that nothing like a mouse or come by and pull your bait out. But yeah, you throw your bait in there and then you can throw your lure right on top. You can squirt urine in it, any kind of liquid lure, it don't matter. I'm going to use these dog turds. I'm going to set them right on top. Or you can set them on the side here, whatever. I'll probably move them, but yeah, you just throw a hunk of bait in there, some lure right on top of it, and that's your dirt hole. You can catch a cat, coyote, whatever. But yeah, that's it. Okay, I got another set put in this week called blind set. My trap is right there. I didn't use any bait, didn't use any lure. I used everything around here. I didn't sift any dirt over it because I have grass and some duff laying around here, but I just used that to blend it in, and I put it right on this trail. It goes right down here, and the cow's right around the corner right there. So obviously blind set you're going to put there where you know they're going to step in it. Obviously they're using this, they have a beat down trail through here. A deer will probably step on it, but that's just part of it. Yeah, they're just gonna come right through here, step around the trap as they're going to the cow. I'll probably set one more right over there. I haven't done this yet on dead cows, so I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but it should. But a blind set works anywhere. If you know they're coming through here, that's where you put them. It usually works best for these smart coyotes in your area, because obviously they're used to the smells you're putting out with the lures of other people trapping them and everything. So a blind set's probably your best friend for this kind of coyote. Yeah, I'm gonna set one more right up there where that trail kind of hugs on the bank here. So, and that'll be the last one I put in here. But yeah, nothing fancy. You just use your surrounding stuff laying on the ground to blend it in, and that's it. Obviously you can set them the same way, sift them with dirt, make them super solid, but as long as your trap's solid and it kind of looks like everything around here, you're gonna catch them. Okay, I got one more blind set right here. I went a little farther up than what I thought what I said I was going to, but same concept. Here I'm gonna show you what's called blocking. These two sticks, these two runners, is what's gonna block and funnel this coyote or bobcat or anything that comes by into my trap. I'm not gonna do it on here, but like on bobcat sets, you want them to step right on your pan. And bobcats are easy to persuade to do that. And like you can do it with coyotes too, but they might be a little bit more curious to what's going on. So basically you just take a stick like this on each side of your trap, and as they step over that, because they're not gonna step on that, they're gonna step over it and step right on your trap. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna use it here. I might set it here just to kind of slow down their stride, but they can still step here and then onto my trap and keep on going. But other than that, that's how I set another blind set. I just, like I said, I just use the grass, blend it in, and I don't have to use pan cover. The grass is basically waterproof, so it works just as good. Hopefully I can find a good spot to put some bobcat sets out down here. I mean, I would imagine there's still cats working this river bottom, but yeah, that's how you do it, guys. All right, so I'm putting in another dirt hole. I just put a dog proof coon trap right at the base of that brace post. But anyways, a lot of guys that post these videos, and they're expert coyote trappers, and I'm not saying anything wrong, and I did it for a long time, but a lot of these guys are super anal about where your trap is facing. I mean, where your dog is facing from the dirt hole or T-bone. And I found that don't necessarily matter. As long as your trap is bedded right and you're giving them a really soft spot to step on, they're going to step on your trap. I basically just put my trap, like obviously I dig a good trap bed and everything, but wherever my trap is most solid, that's where I'm going to set it. And like, you kind of get an eye for it, but like a lot of these guys, they go from the point of their pinky to the point of the thumb, or they got to make sure it's 10 inches away, a foot away, wherever. Some guys like it right at the base of the dirt hole. I like it 6 to 8 inches away, and I've done it right at the base too, and I've caught. It just, I think a lot of it is a mental thing, so it just makes them more aware that their traps are perfectly in the ground, they're not missing any steps. And for a lot of you guys that are starting out, it's good to follow those steps, like make sure your trap's facing the right way, solid, everything. It just helps you get going. But when you've done this for a while and thrown a lot of sets in the ground, you'll find that it don't matter, especially if you're catching. Like I haven't bedded this all the way yet, but that trap, like all my traps face a different way. Like I've done it, I flipped it around, so when they do step, they're getting caught deep. They're stepping on this point, like this end of the pan is facing the dirt hole, so when they step on, they're caught deep. I've done it straight on, I've done it backwards, sideways, whatever. The only thing I don't like is having my springs pointed right at it, because if you step on it, that's a good way to flop that trap up. That's the only thing I look out for. But as long as it's solid, it doesn't matter where they're facing. And as long as you're making a good set and making them look pretty and not just half-assed, but I've seen guys out here too who just throw a trap in the ground and don't matter how they're covered or bedded, and they're gonna catch. It kind of just depends what's in your area, how many critters you got, but where I'm at in Wyoming, these coyotes are super smart. I know coyotes are smart anywhere you go, but these coyotes are wicked smart. I don't know how many coyotes we got. I'm sure we got more than a guy thinks, but our deer populations are down, and so when the hunters are coming out here and the Game and Fish is issuing more tags and they're not finding deer and they see a coyote, those hunters are shooting at that coyote. And if they're not hitting them and killing them, those coyotes are just getting smarter. So they're getting smart to the smell of people, the sound of people, and so a lot of times these coyotes won't even come check out a set, even if it looks appetizing. So what I'm getting at is just make sure your trap's solid. So if a coyote does come around, they're gonna step on it. That's all. That's the key thing to catching a coyote, is make sure your trap is solid so they don't dig it up, and give them a good spot to step on. So that's what my dirt holes look like when they're finished. Not everyone looks exactly like that, but for the soft dirt, that's what I want them to look like. I want it to look like something's been digging here. Whatever's in that hole, whether it be a mouse or whatever. Obviously we put bait in there, but for anything coming by, that's going to attract a lot of eye appeal, and that's what you want. You put your bait and lure in there, and so they're not curious about what's on the ground there, so they're not going to pay attention to what they're stepping on necessarily. Like, obviously they can work the back of this, but that's why you drive them at an angle, so they have to come in here and try to lock eyes on what's ever in that hole. And I'm no expert trapper at all. Like, I know how to trap, I know the basics, and that's all I do. Like, obviously this trapping season, I've experimented with a lot of different sets, and some of them work, some of them haven't, but that's what you got to do. So if these tips I'm giving out don't work for you, don't come down my throat. I mean, I've only done this for a handful of years, and I've been pretty successful now. So all these tips I'm giving out is just what I do, and it works for me. I've watched hundreds of YouTube videos. If you want to watch the best guys out there, Jeremy Cooley's one of them, Montana Wolf Trapper, and there's hundreds of guys that are 10 times better than I am. But this is what works for me, and this is what I do. Keep it simple, go to your basics, and you'll always catch. Like I said, you can drive different holes, you can throw some flagging up here, whatever you want. But you keep it simple, keep it clean, you're going to catch something, especially if something's in the area. Try to always set on sign. Like right here, I'm setting on location, but just keep it simple, keep it clean. Okay guys, I just want to add a few last things of what I do. I like 2 separate gloves for setting traps. I like a set for my bait and lure, just to kind of eliminate all the smell into a pinpoint location, like my dirt hole or my T-bone. Like if you spill that lure, unscrewing the cap or whatever, it's on your hand. At least when you put that lure down, it stays right there. And then I like a set of gloves for set making, like grabbing anything around, setting my trap, dirt, sifting, whatever. It all smells the same. I like to use a knee pad, obviously to keep your pants clean, I guess. I mean, you're gonna get dirty setting traps with digging a dirt hole, all that. But a lot of it is, especially in the snow, is when you're kneeling down, it's going to leave knee impressions, and that gives a lot of scent away. Especially in the snow, it soaks in there from the heat of your legs. So that's why I use it. To me, coyote trapping, smell is everything. I'm not super anal about it, but I like to eliminate a lot of that smell. That's why I use the gloves and the knee pad and everything. A lot of the guys out there are super successful at it, and they just do everything barehanded, especially in the nice weather, and they catch just as many coyotes as the next guy. But to me, like I said, it's just a self-conscious deal, and since coyotes are super smart, I think that's just one last thing you have to worry about, especially if you eliminate that smell. Another thing I found personally is when you get on YouTube and you search up coyote trapping, 90% of those videos are from back east. And I have a bunch of buddies that are from back east that move out to Wyoming that have trapped. And I've learned that those coyotes back east are a completely different dog. I mean, it's the same concept of set making, but the atmosphere wise and the locations you're trapping at, it's completely different. A lot of that stuff is river bottom and hay fields and stuff like that. But like I said, it comes down to the same stuff. But that's another reason why I'm making all these videos, so when someone wants to get out here and learn out west trapping and the sagebrush and all that, and they can catch these western dogs, at least they have something else to come to besides just those back east trappers. Jeremy Cooley is probably your best bet for that. He's probably the best out west trapper in my opinion. And I've spent a lot of time on YouTube and never found a single person making a YouTube channel that's trapping in Wyoming. So that's why I'm doing these videos. Cat trapping kind of is the same way. But hopefully these tips I'm giving out, it goes a long ways for you guys, especially for the beginners. Like I said, I'm no expert trapper at all, but I know how to trap, and I've been pretty successful this year. This has been my best year, and I've learned a lot through trial and error. I've experimented with a lot of different sets, and those 3 coyote sets that I showed you guys today are my go-tos, and that's what works best. You keep it simple with coyotes since they're super smart, and you're gonna catch them. So like I said, use what works best for you and keep on trapping, guys. Hopefully in the next few days I get a few more stuff caught. But yeah, that's what I got for today.